Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. It's me, Steven. I'm at the airport heading out for a 4-day trip. I've got about a half hour before I have to check in, which is great. Let's see. So first off, I was very uncomfortable leaving my house today. This is the first time in 3.5 years I've actually felt anxious leaving my house. I'd say about 2 weeks ago, some people broke into our mail room. And they broke into our mailboxes. I didn't really have anything I don't get anything important mailed to my apartment. It's all to my P.O. box. There's, one sec. All right, that announcement is so loud. So, there were people that broke into our mailroom, and the security cameras caught images of them that weren't terribly clear, but clear enough that I suspect that one of my neighbors in a close by building to me was one of that group. It's a woman that I kind of recognize from the photograph, but it's not that clear, so I can't be like, hey, it's you, you know. Well, I was leaving the house, and she was knocking on the door 2 doors down from me, and she saw me leaving my house with all my bags, and so I have this creeping fear now for the next 4 days that that was one of the people that broke in. All right, they're done. So I'm just a little anxious that I'm gonna come home and find my apartment broken into, you know, and not that I'm worried about anything being taken from me, because the only important things that, well, the only things that anyone would steal would be my laptop, and I have that with me. But I wouldn't want of course, my cats to be like let out or whatever, so I'm gonna call my leasing office tomorrow morning and ask them to just like walk by my apartment and check on my door because I'm a little anxious. There's another piece of news which I'll share with you when I get the chance to settle down. It's very, very good news, which I'm hoping will reduce the number of hives I've been having. Don't it get sexier every day? All right, so I'm gonna go check in. I got about a half hour, so I will talk to you guys later. Alright guys, so I'm going to be sitting in seat 6F for a change, which is nice. And we're going to deadhead to LA, and I think we have an hour and 40 minutes sit, I think. I'm not sure. Hour 40, hour 45. Whoop. Alright, so I will see you guys in LA. Hey guys, hi. Welcome to Baltimore. I think the last time I saw you, I was on the plane heading to LA on a deadhead. The deadhead was about 40-something minutes. It was super easy, no challenges, no problems, super fine. Loved it. Got to LA. We had like an hour and a half sit, hour and 40 minutes sit. But you know, if you subtract boarding for the flight that we had to work, which is about 45 minutes, it's really only about an hour sit, which is easy. Much better than the usual sit in LA, which is like 4 or 5 hours sometimes. So I'll take an hour anytime. The flight from LA to Baltimore was a breeze. It really was a breeze. We had 2 or 3 little minor things that aren't even worth talking about. My crew is pretty great. We have position C. He's a senior to me by, I don't know, by a fair amount. He's a transplant from Chicago. He transferred to Vegas recently. And I think, well, the other 2 positions that I'm flying with, B and D, because I'm flying lead, the 2 girls I'm flying with are just a great pair. The 2 of them are great friends and lots of fun. There's always something to talk about. And the 3 of us were having a great time talking quite a bit of the flight. And I suspect, I think that this position C might have felt a little left out, because in the same situation, I would have felt left out. So I think in the remaining days of this trip, I'm gonna make an extra effort to actually, you know, interact and chat with him because he's pretty chill and pretty low energy. And the 3 of us were like, blah, 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 you know, so I wouldn't want him to feel left out, because I know that I've been in that position and it sucks. So that's my goal for the next few days of this trip. So we got here this morning, and that was about 7:30ish. I got to the room about 8:15, and you know, that's like 5:15 in the morning to my body and my mind, which means I should be sleeping right now. But of course I could not. So it was probably noon before I went to, maybe not noon, maybe 10:30. before I actually got to sleep, because I slept for 6 hours, and right now it's about 6 o'clock. So yeah, I got about 6 hours of sleep. Not a problem on this layover because I have 39 hours here in Baltimore. The longest layover I think I've ever had. But I'm staying in the room for the most part because, you know, COVID is on the uptick around the country, and I really don't feel like going into Baltimore just to walk around and like avoid people. So, and the museums are closed, so I'm just gonna hang out in the room. And the room is cute, as you can see. I've been here before. It doesn't have a full kitchen, but it's serviceable. You can see behind me, it's quite nice. What else? Oh, I wanted to share some good news with you. I told you at the beginning of this video, probably about 5 minutes ago for you, that I was going to share some good news. And I have actually two pieces of good news. So let me share the first with you. It's an email, so I'm going to be looking off screen here to read this email to you. It says, "Hi, Stephen. We have received your loan approval." What's that? Do you hear angels singing? Is that what you hear? I hear angels singing. It says, "Congratulations. At this time, there is nothing additional needed." At this time, there is nothing additional needed from you, which is gorgeous because they're always asking for something. We're working on a few internal things which are typical and nothing to worry about. Knock on wood. Once we get this wrapped up, we'll submit your loan back to our underwriter for a final sign-off and clear to close. Let's see. For now, you can rest easy and let us wrap this up. Have a wonderful day. Isn't that amazing? You know, I've been so stressed. I've been so stressed, and it has not been. It's not been easy. The process of buying the house has been a little frustrating. Looking back, because this is my first time, looking back, this is probably not the most traumatic experience people have had with buying houses. This has probably been easy, but for me, it's the first time, so it's been very stressful. In addition to, as you know, if you watched my last video, a friend of mine, Eric, died. He passed away from COVID, alone in his bed. Thankfully, a friend took his dog because he was unable to care for his dog. So someone else had his dog, and so the dog wasn't left alone. And you know, I'm not sure if I've mentioned it in the past, but one of my coworkers, this is going back, I don't even know, April, May, June. He is one of our Fort Lauderdale flight attendants, and he passed away from COVID, leaving a family. And then a number of my coworkers here in Vegas have tested positive for COVID over the past few months. And one of my favorite people in the company, one of my absolute favorite people in this company, she posted on Facebook that she and her husband had tested positive, and they needed prayers because it was difficult going. She needed to use her rescue inhaler to get from the bed to the kitchen. And she's just kind of struggling a bit, and her husband's probably not doing much better. So it's just been a very stressful time, you know, with flying and all that. The other bit of good news I wanted to mention is last night I sat down and I was really struggling to come up with a gratitude list. And I usually don't have to struggle too hard because the first three are always easy to come to the top of my mind. First off, my sobriety. Nothing is possible in my life without my sobriety. Because if I'm not sober, trust me, I'm not worth watching. And if you're watching me, it's a nightmare. It's a mess. So without my sobriety, there's nothing. And then next, there's a tie between, of course, you know what I'm going to say, my job, of course, and my cats. And the cats are probably a little bit higher. No, I'm kidding. The cats are everything to me, as you know. And that made me think that yesterday was the 19th. That means today is November 20th, 2020. And it's exactly 2 years ago today that I opened my front door and let Buddy into my house for the first time. It's amazing. It's been 2 years. And I'm probably going to do a video just about how Buddy and having cats has changed me as a person. I should probably do a video about that because it really has made an enormous difference in my life. So 2 years ago, and I'm going to try to remember to put a link in the description box to that video of where I introduced you to Buddy 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, I had been feeding Buddy, and it took about 2 weeks for him to let me pet him, to like touch him. And in the video that I'm probably going to try to link below, or you can try and search for it, it's 2 years ago, obviously. In the video, I introduced you to Buddy, and I was like, oh my God, I wish I could just let him walk into my house, but I can't because I'm so allergic to cats. And then if you've been following me for so long, you know how important this cat is to me. And now I have 3 cats in my tiny studio, right? So that the irony is not lost on me that I was so worried about, should I let him in or not, you know? And now I'm buying a house, basically because of the cats. You know, it's just so funny. So it's been 2 years since Buddy walked into my life. I started feeding him, and then I let him walk into the house. And then, you know, the minute he walked in, he seemed to make himself at home. And that afternoon, I went over to Marshall's, and I bought like 3 or 4 cat beds because I wasn't quite sure where he would prefer sleeping. So I put them around the studio. Then I went and I bought, you know, food and water bowls. And then I went to Target and I bought cat food, 4 different types of cat food, because I knew already that he was going to be picky. And it was just like in the matter of minutes, I had invited Buddy into the house, basically. And you know, if you are a viewer since then, Buddy would come into the apartment, he would eat, he would take a nap, he'd allow me to touch him a little bit, he wouldn't really let me pick him up too much, and then he would leave. And very much like a teenager, he would, like from college, he would come home, he would eat, he'd sleep, and then he'd go off, you know, and do his thing for most of the day, and then come back and eat and sleep. Then, if you look, again, I'm talking so much about this, but I'm just so grateful for this damn cat. 2 or 3 days later, I filmed another video of, this is back before I could even edit anything. Buddy had come into the house, and for some reason, he felt very comfortable sitting next to me in a chair, and he kind of cuddled with me. And this was only about 2 days after I invited him into the house. And it was pretty soon after that he became sort of a part-time stray cat. And then, of course, we've transitioned into him now being an indoor cat only because he gets into too much trouble when he's out there. But blah, 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 blah. 10.5 minutes of me rambling about nothing. But so I did want to share that good news with you about my loan, and I wanted to share this good, happy news about my anniversary with Buddy. I think my friends on Facebook call it a gotcha day, like I gotcha. It's his anniversary of becoming my boyfriend, basically. And yeah, I might do a video just about how Buddy and Eleanor and Claire have sort of changed me a little bit, just in case someone's interested. I don't know. But there you go. So I'm going to spend the rest of tonight just kind of nibbling on some food, watching some YouTube, and browsing Wayfair. That is my new addiction. So I am haunting Wayfair like I'm in bed at like all hours, just scrolling through sofas and end tables. And I'm thinking of buying my sofa at Wayfair. I'm also thinking of IKEA, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. But all right, I will talk to you guys later on. Have a good night. Randomed in Detroit, and we have to walk like the entire length of the airport to get to a security stop. So irritating. We have, hey guys, look at my hair. I look like a plucked chicken. Time is 3 hours and 32 minutes. We're flying with Amy, yay! And Lisa, yay! I talked about them last night, if you remember. Those are the girls I talked about. We're on a 3. It was good. It was good. We're on a 321, which is good for me because I'm up in front and it's nice. We're going to Puerto Rico. We have 153 people on board. I'm sorry, we're catering, which is very nice. 153 people, 3 hours and 32 minutes, something like that. And yeah, so easy flight, right? No fist fights in the aisles. Not today. Hey guys, hi. Welcome to Puerto Rico. It's totally pitch black outside, so there's nothing really to show you. The flight was pretty good. We had 153 people on board, 152 people on board. For the most part, pretty easy. There were just teeny minor, little teeny issues, nothing really to even speak about. The past couple months and the next few months, we're gonna have our pairings include 4 flight attendants. Usually, you probably know by now, it's 3 flight attendants and sometimes a chaser, sometimes, and maybe 5. Sometimes we have 2 chasers. But lately we have 4 flight attendants per pairing, because most of our flights are on 320s, which have 4 flight attendants. Because we're on the 321, that means we have 1 extra chaser who sits up in front with me. And I got very lucky with this chaser. He was fantastic. Really, really great guy. A lot of fun, from Detroit. I'm gonna miss him. He was really great. I think that's it. Yeah, so the flight was 3 hours and 32 minutes. I always have to write the time down on my palm because I'll forget. Yeah, we have 1 leg back to Orlando. It shouldn't take us that long. And we're there for 8, how many hours? 15 hours? I don't know. Plenty of time to eat and sleep, so that's fine with me. All right, so I will see you in Orlando. Hey guys, hi, welcome to Orlando. I'm still kind of shimmering, that's the word, shimmering in a mild rage. And I'll tell you about that in a moment, but something just happened in the lobby, and I'll come to that in a moment. I've tried to film this 2 other times, but I ended up in both cases like yelling about what happened. So I'm gonna keep it calm. So I told you the flight from Baltimore to San Juan was easy, simple, no real problems. That was kind of a lie, in that we did have 1 instance where we had a guest who was of size. He was a person of size, and that's not usually a problem. We can accommodate a lot of people with seatbelt extensions and stuff, but this guy was really big, and he wouldn't fit in any of our regular seats, especially not the one he was assigned. He was assigned way in the back, and they're actually a little closer. So we had him sit in one of our big front seats. We have some like business class seats in the front. So I had him sit in one of those seats just for the time being, because I didn't know if anyone was going to, any of them were going to be free for the flight, since we only had like 155 passengers. But again, we had a whole family take up those big front seats. So I had to think, well, I had to find 1 row that didn't have anybody in it, a whole seat section, I should say, just so we can give him space. And we happen to have one in 24, so I had him move back to 24. But there's a sense of empathy you have to have there, because that's got to be awkward, you know, on his side as well as ours, just trying to make sure that he's accommodated, that he's safe, and that he's comfortable, and not feeling, you know, any sense of anything because of his size. So that worked out well, but that was one thing we had to face on the plane. But that was really the only issue, and it wasn't even really an issue since we had so many open seats. So that was good. The flight from San Juan here to Orlando was pretty good. We had no real issues at all, like nothing. I didn't. We had a couple small dogs on board in the back that apparently pooped inside their carrier. And it was a little smelly, and they were a little barky as well in the back, but up in front, no problems. Yeah, so that flight was pretty good. Our turbulence, I should have mentioned this earlier. The flight to San Juan, we did have about a half hour of pretty moderate turbulence. Now, if you're a flight attendant, you know moderate turbulence is pretty significant. It's not severe. Severe was like when things start flying around, you know. But coming back from San Juan, it was actually a little worse. We had to, we waited an hour and a half before we actually did service. So the turbulence was significant today, but nothing terrifying. And being up in front, it's always easier. So no worries there. So we got to the hotel here in Orlando, and here's where I'm going to try my best to kind of keep it tight, because I will get mad. You know, it doesn't happen often that someone has the nerve to be really homophobic and rude in that to that degree. It doesn't happen often that someone has the chutzpah to actually, to my face, say something, because, you know, I'm 6'2", I'm a fairly big person, you know, and I'm clearly not like diminutive or afraid or, you know, a little baby. I'm quite a strong person, and I don't know how it started. I really don't, because my brain just seemed to jump the rails for a moment. Thank God I was in uniform, because that did kind of hold me in somewhat of a check. But this little guy, he's like 5'10", nothing wrong with 5'10". He may be 5'9". Nothing wrong with shorter guys. But this guy was just a little mouse. He had this like little leprechaun beard, and he's wearing a, it didn't help it, he's wearing a Celtics jersey that I keep thinking of him as a leprechaun. But he's wearing a Larry Bird jersey, which is really just a disgrace, because Larry Bird is one of the greatest basketball players of all time, from Boston, of course. And he's wearing a Boston Celtics Larry Bird jersey, and he's I'm not sure, can I say douchebag? Can I say douchebag? I don't know if I can do that without being demonetized. He was such a little jerk, and he said something. I don't know what it was, but he's like, are you gay or whatever? And I turned and I was like, after this day and at this time, I'm done. And it was like, yeah, I'm a raging homo. You got a problem? And he's like, oh yeah, I hate fat. I'm sure I can't say that word. F-A-G-G, and it ends with an O-T. Yeah, I hate those. And he said it like 3 or 4 times. And I was like, you got a problem? You want to start something? You want to start something? Go ahead, start something, right? While everyone's here, go ahead, start something. Start something. He just stood there, and he was there in the lobby to buy alcohol. He was already toasted. The guy behind the counter should not have sold him alcohol. He was already clearly messy. He was there in the lobby, and while we were checking in, he's like, I'm pissed off. You only have red wine. That's all you have to sell me. And I mean, really, a piece of work. And so I shouldn't have even been upset at that level of animal would judge me. So I had some words, and thank God again I'm in uniform, because I was already about to rumble. You know, I was already there. Go ahead, start something, because it's on camera. I got a room full of people watching, so go ahead, start something. I'm sure I would have been in trouble, but you know, right. So yeah, it got bad, and then he's trying to walk around, and I wasn't sure if he was going to try and follow us or not, but he walked outside. He wasn't even a guest, it turns out. He was just there to buy alcohol, because nothing else is open. Whatever. I was like, yeah, shimmering. Is that the word you know, that the heat right above a frying pan, just as it's coming to temperature when you're going to fry something, or that shimmering way that the light changes over a hot tarmac. That is exactly how I would describe the rage that I felt. Again, the only reason I probably am not in jail, I'm not in jail right now, is I was in uniform. Yeah, it was right there. So let's talk about something more pleasant, shall we? My schedule for December. So I got my schedule for December. I don't know what number line I got in terms of my bid package. It was not near the top for me. But my the only requirement I had for December, I know I can't even stop thinking about this. Again, did I say the word douchebag out loud? I don't know. Sorry. So the only requirement I had of a line in December was that I had December 2nd off, because that's the day I close on my house. And I was hoping to have a schedule where I had a good part of the first part of the month off, so I could just focus on moving and cleaning and doing whatever building I want to do. But I got this line, and I can't complain too much because I am off on December 2nd. My first trip starts on December 3rd, but not until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's like I can, do what I have to do, stress, celebrate, do whatever I have to do, and still have time to sleep before my trip. The negative with the line I have, and I'm not going to go through my line by line like I usually do, because it's fairly complicated. I have 1, 2, 3 4-day trips and 2 3-day trips. So it's a total of, and I have 2 deadheads. One's moderate and one's super short. But I've got a block of 79.19, and I have a credit of 83.18. So the difference is the amount of hours that I'm going to be deadheading over the course of the month. So I'll be paid 83 hours and 18 minutes, which is fine. Excuse me. I'm not going to pick up an extra trip. I'm not going to try and pick up any hours, because I really want the time off to be focused on packing, cleaning, moving, decorating, shopping, that kind of stuff. So I've got 15 days off. What other job is full-time and gives you 15 days off in December? Yeah. So I am working Christmas Eve and I am working New Year's. So Christmas Eve, I'm not going to read the whole schedule line by line, but I will tell you what I'm doing for Christmas Eve. So for Christmas Eve, my trip starts at, my show time is 12:15 in the afternoon. I fly LA to Chicago, Chicago to Tampa, and I get into Tampa at 11:26 at night. So by the time boarding is complete, it'll be Christmas. So I'll spend most of the day in Tampa for Christmas, and that is until 5:21. That's what time my report time is at the airport. So most of the day I'll have off in Tampa to spend it by myself eating. I'll try and pack a little extra something like more festive to eat that day, I think. And I'm going to pack a Christmas tree. And don't tell anybody, but I am, of course, going to have some Christmas stockings for the crew I'll be working with. And then that night I fly to Boston, and I've got a 20-hour, almost 21-hour layover in Boston, starting Christmas night into the day after Christmas. So my check-in the next day is at 6:09, which is fantastic, because I'm going to go into Boston. It's the day after Christmas. All the after Christmas sales are going to be happening. So I'm going to go to Primark, which, if you don't remember, is one of my favorite stores in Boston. See if they're not having some sales. It's just some clothing, and it's super, super cheap. But there's a Macy's down there, so maybe I'll just walk down, I think. I'll just walk down there, do some shopping and stuff. My family, what's left of it, is all like an hour away, about an hour driving, so I'm not going to see anybody there for Christmas. But it'll be nice to be in Boston around Christmas, so it'll be nice. But and New Year's Eve, I told you I wasn't going to tell you my whole schedule line by line, but here we are. Christmas Eve, on New Year's Eve, I fly out on New Year's Eve. My show time is 4 p.m. I fly to Philadelphia, my least favorite city in America to fly to. I shouldn't say that, because I'm sure some of you live in Philadelphia. And it's a lovely place, but for some reason, every bit of crazy happens on a Philadelphia flight. Sorry. I've got a 16-hour layover in Philadelphia. So New Year's, I my check-in is at 5:05, and I fly from Philadelphia to LA. And I've got a 12-hour layover in LA. So I am going to be flying Christmas Eve and Christmas, which is fine. Because, I mean, if I were home, all I'd be doing is celebrating with my cats. And they don't really do a lot in terms of celebration. So I think that's it. I'm going to eat some food. It is 1:42 in the morning here in Orlando. Our show time is 3:30. Our check-in, oh my God, our van time is at 3:30 tomorrow night. So plenty of time to eat, sleep, do all that stuff. And so I'll see you, tomorrow. All right, have a good night. Talk to you later. I'm going to relax. I'm fine, by the way, just in case. There's going to be a few of you who are like, are you okay? I'm fine, trust me. But have a good night. I'll talk to you later. Hey guys, hi. So I decided to leave the hotel room. And just as I start filming, of course, it starts to rain. So I'll talk to you later. All right, it was just a quick little rainstorm. There's like 100 little hotels around here, and I'm having a hard time finding mine. I think this is it. Yes. Hey there. All right, so, boy, this layover went really quick. I spent most of my layover today watching Nigella Lawson. She's an English cook, English chef, and oh my God, I'm in love with this woman. She's gorgeous. Every word she says is poetry, never mind her cooking. And to think I'm gonna have a kitchen at some point, oh, I can't wait to cook. It'll be so much fun. I am much better after last night. Part of the recovery from my shimmer last night was most of a bar of chocolate from IKEA. It's milk chocolate with like gingerbread crumbs in it. Oh my God, so good. Yeah, so I'm kind of over last night. I have to be over things like that. It's always a shock. But whatever. Letting go of it. Today we are flying from here to Houston, and then Houston to Vegas. I cannot wait to go home. This trip seems like it's been very long. Most of it's been layovers, but it just seems like a very long trip. So I'm looking forward to being home. I wonder if our shuttle's here. All right, so I'll see you at the airport or in Houston. All right, this is going to be a trip. We're in Orlando. One of the back jump seats is in op, so I think C is going to have to sit in a passenger seat. We're oversold, I think, by 2. So that, I don't know, whatever. But, yeah, it'll be something. They can't print out a pre-boarding or sheet for me. I've asked for a manifest. We'll see what happens there. I don't know. I'm feeling some weird energy already, so I'm not trying not to speak it into existence, as they say, but I'm preparing. That's what I can say. Wish us luck. Hey guys, hi. So I'm at the bus stop waiting for my bus, trying to save some money so I can spend it later. So we just got back to Vegas. The flight from Houston was easy once we left. The 2 people who were sitting right in front of us, our jump seat, were super animated, as usual, super animated. When something like this happens, they start off laughing, telling stories, sharing jokes, and we're having a good time. And then all of a sudden, one of the people in the front row kind of just like, totally lost it. And he's like coughing a bit, and he's holding his chest. And I'm thinking, oh, Jesus, please don't have a heart attack on this flight. I want to go home, right? And I don't want him to be sick, right? Yeah, so literally, we're literally about to take off. And I pick up the phone and I call the captain and I say, hey, I'm so sorry. If we can stop, I would stop. And I described what was going on with our guest. And my coworker, the person up in front with me, got our MedLink form where we take down the details about what's going on with the passenger, and got his ID, and And I asked all the questions, you know, has anything like this happened before? What are your symptoms? How old are you? And yeah, and so we called MedLink, and it turns out that, yeah, we ended up taking off. That's a long story short, but it was very touch and go. Bus is leaving, hold on. All right, so it was very touch and go for a minute there, because his symptoms could have been the symptoms of just about anything. And so it turns out he has asthma, but it's not well controlled. He doesn't have an emergency asthma inhaler with him. So long story short, he seemed to recover on his own. We did toy with the idea of going back to the gate and having him take a later flight once we found out what was going on with him, but he seemed to recover, and so it all went well in the end. We made up some time in the air, and it turns out we were only 7 minutes late coming to Vegas, so that's very good. The rest of the flight was fine. It felt like a red eye, because for the most part everyone was asleep. There we go. Another 4-day down. I have a couple days off, and then do I have one more trip? Yeah, we have a trip. I have a trip on Thanksgiving, and then my closing. So I think that's it. I'm gonna wrap this video up, this vlog up, and thank you very much for joining me as always. And I do apologize for my level of shimmer, is that what I called it? My little bit of rage. Yeah, you'd think I would get used to that kind of behavior, but it never seems to get old, you know. All right, so I keep rambling. I will talk to you guys later, and I hope you have a great night and fly safe. Bye.